Danette and Jeanette Millbrook disappeared on March 18, 1990 in Augusta, Georgia, which is about 2 hours outside Atlanta. The girls, aged 15 at the time of their disappearance, were fraternal twins. The events of the day they went missing are relatively well documented, but the case has never been solved and no persons of interest have ever been publicly identified. Danette and Jeanette were, by all accounts, normal teenagers. The girls are described as black, with brown eyes and black hair, both styled into a jerry curl hitting at about their shoulders at the time of their disappearance. On the day of their disappearance, Danette was wearing a white Mickey Mouse shirt, white jeans, and a pair of black shoes. Jeanette was wearing a blue pullover, a white turtleneck, a beige skirt, white stockings, and white sneakers. The girls were fraternal twins and looked similar, though not identical, and each had distinguishing features. Most notably, Danette was described as bow-legged, meaning her knees did not touch and had a slight curvature, something that is not very common as children typically grow out of bow legs. Personally, I think of it as similar to Madeleine McCann's eye, albeit much less specific to Danette alone. Rather, it's a physical trait that is hard to fake and, at least at the time, likely would have made her more identifiable than her sister. In addition to this, there is a scar above the navels of both girls. The girls had no history of running away or any indicators that they would do so. The only incident of note was one that was very normal for girls of this age. The twins went to different middle schools. Danette went to a school that provided her more academic support than she had received at the girls' public school. In 1989, when the girls would have been about 14 to 15, a girl had reportedly bullied Jeanette at the bus stop. When Danette, described in one article from American Crime Journal as the more dominant twin, found out, she confronted the girl, only to engage in a small fight with her. The girls were broken up by a police officer who took their names. However, no action was taken and the incident was written off as what it likely was, a squabble among kids. Early in the afternoon of March 18, 1990, a Sunday, the two girls went to a local chicken restaurant for lunch. The trip was uneventful, save for the presence of a man in a white van following them for a portion of their walk. They reported this to their mother, but details are scarce, and this man has never been identified. As the day progressed, the girls decided to walk to a family friend, also their godfather, to procure money for the bus trip to school the upcoming week. The girls received $20 and had apparently been given a bit extra to grab snacks on their way home. After this, they visited a cousin and asked her to walk home with them, but she wasn't allowed to as it was getting close to 4 p.m. and night would soon fall. Following this, they visited their sister and asked her to walk them home as well, only to be turned down once again as she had just had a baby. The family would later consider it unusual that the girls had asked, more than once, to be walked home. The final sighting of the girls would come from a clerk at a nearby gas station. The clerk was familiar with the girls and recalled seeing them buying chips, candy, and soda. She didn't note anything out of the ordinary in regard to their behavior, though she would recount seeing a car parked outside while they were there, although she couldn't describe it. It's unknown if this car had anything to do with what happened to the girls, especially considering that it was a gas station and there was likely a lot of traffic. After this sighting at the gas station, they weren't seen again. The family, upon realizing that the girls hadn't returned home, called to file a police report. They were told they had to wait 24 hours before filing a report. The initial report has been lost, and the case was inexplicably closed just a year later, with no real developments. They were also removed from the missing children registry. The reasoning for this has never been made public. The Millbrook family was allegedly told that the girls, 17 at the time of the closure, couldn't be compelled to return home, and for that reason the case was closed. If I'm to be honest, the investigation was ridiculously poor. The girl's last name and Jeanette's middle name have been continuously misreported on missing persons registries, and the family was, at different times, given absurd theories as to what happened, such as the girls being removed from the home and put into foster care, where they were adopted. These missteps and the very early and abrupt closure of the case have made it nearly impossible to get a good grasp on what, if any, leads were found, which in turn makes it very hard to even imagine what happened. The family was, rightly, in my opinion, infuriated by the lack of investigation and errors in reporting by the local sheriff's office. To be blunt, the sheriff's office didn't seem to care enough about these two girls to put together a cohesive and thorough investigation. The family's insistence is among the only things that have kept the twins' case alive, repeatedly calling the sheriff's office, pressing for more details. Police didn't do nothing. The girl's younger sister, Shanta, who had initially wanted to go with the girls that fateful day but was rebuffed, said in the same special, "Anybody that was our color was a runaway." Unsurprisingly, there are few, if any, theories. John Patrick Washington was a serial rapist and murderer who was operating not far from where the girls lived and spent time. Washington would abduct, often shoot, and sexually assault women. He claimed that an ex-girlfriend had infected him with HIV, and his brutal assaults were an effort to get back at women as a whole. His victim type did match the girls' description: young, African-American girls with short hair. In 1993, the body of an African-American girl was found in South Carolina. The skeletal remains were used for facial reconstruction, and the family felt strongly that it could be Jeanette if the reconstruction is accurate. Yet again, with little reason, they were told no, and the matter was closed. This young woman's body has yet to be identified. This body is suspected by some to be a victim of Washington, whomever she may be. It's important to note here that non-familial abductions are very uncommon and are even more so when more than one child is involved. This statistic has left some to question the behavior of the girl's father, John Millbrook. According to Shanta Sturgis, he had no real interest in the investigation and didn't seem to want to find them. He reportedly refused to talk to investigators when they did come around, wouldn't give a familial DNA sample, and urged his other daughter to do the same. This could, of course, have been a way of coping with the loss of his daughters, choosing not to entertain the idea that someone would hurt them. But, like most things in this case, there's no way to be sure. In 2013, then newly minted Richmond County Sheriff Richard Roundtree reopened the case and revealed the initial closure of the case, as well as the girls' removal from registries. He expressed a desire to right the wrongs of his predecessors and make real progress. However, the family has since expressed that the gesture hasn't led to anything substantial. On a personal note, I found this case both heartbreaking and frustrating. It's not a secret that non-white and less affluent missing children, particularly teenagers, often receive less press coverage and police resources than their white and affluent counterparts, and this is a clear example of bias impeding an investigation and potentially losing an opportunity to keep these girls out of harm's way. It's very possible that this case will remain unsolved because not enough people cared to do anything about it at the time. Really curious to see what people here think, because personally, I'm stumped.